I'm Alan Johnson, KU2Y, and this is the CubeSatSim assembly video for Step 1, Mainboard Part 1. So this is the main board here, and I have the various tools that I need for this step. I have my soldering iron, have my solder, have my metal curls, or you might have a sponge for cleaning the tip. I have my blue putty for holding parts in place. I have side cutters and needle nose pliers, which I sometimes need. I also have the instructions here on my phone. So those are the on the CubeSatSim GitHub wiki. Also, I like to have the bill of materials open as well. And if you select the by step view of it, it'll give you the parts there in order, and you can check them off. So for example, the first one here is the main board here, so I can check that off here. Now, this board already has the surface mount components on it. If you have a completely blank board like this, then you'll need to start by putting the FM transceiver, the USB-C, and the low-pass filter parts on there as well. But this is the version if you got it from the AMSAT store, and it is ready to go. Okay, so let's get started. So the first part we're going to do is J1, which is the stacking GPIO header. And if you ordered the parts using the Octoparts link from DigiKey, it should your bag should be labeled with the step and the part number on there for you. So, okay, so this component here is the only one which is actually inserted on the back of the circuit board and soldered on the front. So this is the front of the circuit board because it has the AMSAT logo here, this white globe. So I'm going to flip it upside down here, and then I'm going to carefully insert it. Sometimes the pins get a little bit bent. There we go. So we've got that. So you see that it is plugged into the bottom of the board and the pins stick out the top. This is so we can stack the other boards on top of it. Okay, so let's get started here. So I'm going to solder just 2 pins on this. That way I can check it to make sure that everything is straight before I solder the rest of the pins. So I'm going to clean my tip of my iron on the curls here, tin it with some extra solder. When it's nice and hot, nice and shiny, nice and clean, I'm going to start soldering here. And I apply heat to both the pad and to the pin. And if we have a look here, and you see, hopefully you can see that, that it's actually crooked. It's not at right angles. Also, if you look, you might be able to see that there's a very small gap between the component and the board. So these are both things you do not want. But because I've only soldered 1 pin, it's very easy to fix. So I simply heat this pin back up, straighten it, and now take a look. And you can see that the pins are at right angles there, and you'll notice there's no gap there. Okay, so I'm going to solder the other pin here. Okay. Also, if you look, you can see that there's a nice little mound of solder there. It's kind of a teardrop shape. It's very important not to get solder on the upper part of these pins. If you do, it will make it very hard to stack the boards. And make sure that when you've soldered it, you can't see any of the hole. The entire pad has some solder on it. Okay, so that looks good. I'm ready to solder the rest of the pins. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, I think I'm going to start at the other end here. It's better. So take your time doing this. And make sure that you're not applying too much solder so that the pins get bridged. Okay, so that's one complete row there. Looks pretty good. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the other row here. Okay, so let's inspect them here, make sure no pins are bridged, make sure there's no gaps. Okay, looks good. So that was J1. Next we're going to do the switch, S1. Here it is. And for the rest of the parts, we're going to insert them on the top here with the AMSAT logo. So here is where switch S1 goes. Line up the pins and then push it in so that the pins are protruding. This is our push button that we're going to use for changing modes and shutting it down. So I'm just going to solder one pin. And now I'm going to check it, make sure it's straight, make sure it's not at an angle. Looks good. So now I'm going to solder the remaining pins. Okay, let's inspect the joints here. Make sure nothing's bridged. Okay, looks good. Now we're going to do X1, which is the 3.5 millimeter jack. This is used for the remove before flight switch, and it goes right here. So I'm going to plug it in here. Now it's actually staying pretty well. If it doesn't stay, I'm going to use a little piece of this blue putty, and I'm just going to use that to hold it in place while I solder it. So again, I'm going to solder one pin. Have a look. Looks good. So now I'm going to solder the remaining pins. Okay. Looks good. Okay, so now we're going to solder the LEDs and their resistors. So we're going to start with the green power LED. So these LEDs have a clear lens on them, so you can't tell what color they are, so just be careful that you don't mix them up. So here is the green LED, and we need a 1K ohm resistor R7. So I need a 1K resistor. And the 1K resistor, you can tell it's the 1K if it's out of its bag, because it will have, the color bands will be brown, black, red. So you can see brown, black, red there. Okay, so those are the two components. Now all the resistors on this board are going to be mounted vertically. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to bend one side of the lead. You can do it with pliers, or you can just do it with your fingers like that. So you can see how that is, so that it can be mounted vertically. Okay, so I'm going to put LED 3, it's the power LED there. Now notice that one lead is longer than the other. And that one side here on the PCB has a plus on it. It's a little hard to see in this video, but there's the bottom lead has a little plus. That's because an LED as a diode has a polarity, and if you put it in backwards, it simply won't work. So what we want to do is we want to take the long lead and put it as the plus, which is the bottom side. So I'm going to insert it like that. And I'm going to insert R7 next to it. It doesn't matter which way you do this. Resistors do not have a polarity. So I just insert it there like that. Now I'm going to flip it over, and to keep them from falling out and also to give them a little bit of mechanical strength, I'm just going to slightly bend the leads. Just going to spread the leads a little bit like this. I'm not bending them all the way over, but just giving it some angle there. And that way they won't fall out. It also gives them a bit of mechanical strength. Now notice that the LED there, it's not actually flush. It's not critical, but since you see the LEDs, it's nice to have it flat and flush. So I'm just going to use a little blue putty there to hold it in place. Okay. The other thing you might notice is that the LED, one side of the lens actually has a bit of, it's sort of flattened. I don't know if you can see that, but the flattened side of the lens is on the edge of the PCB. Okay, so we're ready to solder here. So I'm going to solder only one pin of each component. So I'm going to solder one pin of the LED, and I'm going to solder one pin of the resistor. And then I'm going to remove the blue putty here and take a look at it. Looks good, it looks straight. This is also my last chance to double check the polarity. And I do have the longer lead is away from the edge, it's down. Okay, that looks good. So I am now ready to solder the other 2 pins. Okay. So you see how that looks? There's no bridging, there's just a nice teardrop shape. Looks good. Now I'm going to trim the excess here. Now you need to have your safety glasses on when you're doing this because these cutoffs can go flying and can hurt your eyes. I like to also just rest a finger on it. That keeps it from flying. It also makes less mess. So let's do that. I just rest a finger on it and then cut it off close to the board. I don't want to actually cut the solder. I just want to cut the lead itself. Okay, so I got the offcuts there. Let's have a look. Looks good. Okay, so that was LED 3 and R7. So next we're going to do the red charge LED. Get the red LED. There it is. And R9, which is a 220 ohm resistor. Here we go. And I'm going to install them there. And same as before, I want to identify the longer lead, and the longer lead goes away. It also goes to the hole that's labeled plus. So that's it there. And for the resistor, I'm going to bend over one of the leads so that I can mount it vertically. And it doesn't matter what polarity I put it in here. And I'm going to put in a little bit of blue putty here just to hold it straight and keep it in place. So there it is inserted, and I'm going to bend the lead slightly to give it a little bit of mechanical strength. Okay. So I'm going to solder one pin on each pot. And let's see how that looks. Looks good. The LED's a tiny bit crooked. See how it's sort of tilting there? So I'm just gonna, with my finger on it here, I'm just gonna heat up the joint and then straighten it. There we go, that's better. All right, so now I'm going to solder the other pin. Okay, looks good. And now I'm going to trim the leads, and I just put a finger on it so they don't go flying. Okay. So let's have a look. Yep, looks good. So that's 2 of the LEDs. Now let's do the blue LED 4. And R8, which is a 100 ohm resistor. Go. There's our components. And again, the longer lead is the plus. Plus goes away from the edge. Push it in all the way. And for my resistor here, I'm going to bend it over so that I can mount it vertically. Okay. And apply a little bit of blue putty here to keep them both in place. And I'm going to bend the leads. Okay. Solder 1 pin on each. And double check. And again, I can look and see that the flat side of the lens is towards the edge. Looks good. So now I can solder the other two pins there. And trim the excess leads. Okay, so that is the 3 LEDs, the green, the red, and the blue, all installed across the top. Okay, so now we're going to install the diodes D1 and D4. So these are the diodes here. And diodes like LEDs, which are light emitting diodes, also have a polarity. And if you look closely here, you can see that this left side here has a band. It's like a silver band on it. So that indicates the polarity. And basically, the band matches up with the circuit symbol there. You see how the left-hand side has a vertical line on it, and the arrow points to the left. So the arrow points to the band. So that goes there. Now I'm going to bend these over. The way I like to do it, I like to keep the band at the top just to be consistent, because these diodes are going to mount vertically, just like the resistors. Okay, so I've got 2 of them there. And now, because I want the band to go to the left, that means I'm going to insert them like this. So here is D1. And here is D4 next to it. Push them in all the way. And then also bend the leads. Okay, I don't need any blue putty since they are pretty tight, but hopefully you can see that the gray band is on the top, and then it's bent over and going to the other side there. Okay, so I'm going to solder 1 pin on each. And double check. Final check for polarity. Looks good. Okay. Now I can trim these. These leads are